Thank you guys for joining. Today, I will walk you guys through one of their latest topic that I have a pitch to my company. One is the empowering growth through product metrics. And today, of course, I will walk through a little bit about myself. I have been in product analytics field for around 10 years, been with all of their product-less companies such as Uber, Microsoft, been with Trip, which includes Skyscanner, and latest fintech now based in London is Zilch. So for the topic today, I would love to walk you guys through the first section is related to what is the product metrics and what is the growth metric. And then for the case study, I don't want to make it too dry and a lot of theory because I believe that that is what we look into realities. When you look into the metric, can you explain what happened to all the companies nowadays? And two case study I walked through today is Zilch, is my current company, buy now pay later fintech space, and the second one is Uber. So go through the first section is product and growth. Then let's talk about the product metrics. I would say that there's a lot of ways for you guys. Anyone is product analyst or product managers have a different ways to look into the product health. You can measure in the product health through multiple metric. There's a lot of like different scheme like AAA, RRR, like revenue, retention, and so on. However, from my point of view, there's a few one can look into it kind of like basic. The first one is product awareness and product adoption. So it means that when you're launching your product, the first point to measure is how many people actually know that your product exists. So it can be measured whenever the first screen view ever that you create your product, how many people actually seeing them, or when you create the product, you will send plenty of email to people when exactly they actually open the email and know about your product. So that is awareness. And adoption is after you the customer know about your product, how many of them actually use it for the first time. So that is the crucial point to measure that customer actually use the product or not. The second one is retention. So for the product is yes, you make people know about your product, it exists, so it is awareness. Second is you make people actually use it, so that is adoption. People actually use it. But then after user use it, will they stay? So that is the question for retention. The third one, all of the company also look into the product metric is lifetime value. So will your product actually gain frequencies for the people actually using over the time and again and again? So for example, Facebook is one of the very like addictive kind of product where they build the product, make people know that it exists. They create the profile, but more overlays is they use it every day. So that kind of lifetime value is very important to drive the retention. So all of the metrics have actually the relationship and correlation to each other. The last one is purchase conversion. This also like depends on what kind of product you actually serve. For most of the fintech product or any kind of e-commerce product, we tend to make the customer purchase. And then in this case, you can see the relationship between product metrics and growth. Is when we bring the new user from the product, you have the product metric. And then after that, you will drive the growth. So that is kind of like very clear correlation. But then, okay, the question is, so you already know all of the metrics from the product. So what is the growth metric? The growth metric has a little bit different. Like, for example, you look into daily active user of the whole company, like how many people actually use your app, how many people using your app like daily, weekly, and monthly. So daily active user, monthly active user, and weekly active user is the clearly metric for the growth. Second is profit. So this is a very, very interesting metric that I always kind of interested in. Um, all of the company, the ultimate goal is drive the profit. But there's so many ways to drive the profit. The first way, it can be increase the number of new users to generate more revenue. So the way it works is, for example, Clubhouse will launch, I think, around end of 2020 and early of 2021. It drive massive people coming to their platform. But then you will see that from February until that, they cannot keep the retention of the user and they just keep leaving and leaving. So it can see that the growth hacking in February is significantly insane. But then because the retention low, so it cannot gain too much profit. So yes, increase the number of new user can generate more revenue, but it may not be the sustainable way. The second way, it can be like, okay, I want to increase the profit through raising the price of the product to increase the revenue. It makes sense. So one of the case is Uber with Lyft. At first, Uber launched in US and growing massively because the product market fit. However, Lyft jumped into the market later. So the strategy from Lyft is, okay, I will give the price lower. So to adopt more the customer and also the driver come to the platform. But then over the time, because they cannot bear to get into the profit sustainability. So the way they do is they raise the price of the product to increase their own revenue and compete with Uber. But somehow because they raise the price, people start leaving Lyft. One of the reason is, yeah, because Lyft at first people come because it's cheaper. So it create the debatable topic, the controversial topic is, will raising the price of the product is the only way to increase revenue because people are going to just leave you. It's cheaper for the price at beginning, right? So the third way, I think there's a lot of product-led company nowadays is adopt a part of the first and the second way to increase the profits is acquiring more users through the product development to increase the LTV. So basically, if you can increase the LTV or create the product, increase the LTV, then profit can be calculated as a number of user multiply your LTV. And LTV here is lifetime value. Okay, so the last one is the number of new subscription for the way we can push up growth is we can bring more and more new user and multiply, of course, if your product is a subscription based kind of product, then we can multiply with the conversion rate. And this table is one of the example to see the relationship very strong between the product metric and growth metric, how we can drive the daily retention with the DAU and LTV with gross profit. Retention example into the sending a message to the user sending a message. And the last but not least is percentage of the new user who subscribe with the number of who subscribe at the beginning. So that is the whole point kind of relationship and basic metric from the product metric and the growth side. So now I'm gonna walk you guys through two case study that is very interesting to explain what is the relationship between product metric and growth metric that we just talked about. So the first case study is Zilch. The argument is like, how come Zilch is become the fastest Europe unicorns within 9 months, which is currently valued at 2 billion valuation. So the question is, okay, when Zilch jumped into the market, back then, what is Zilch first? There is the buy now pay later platform where it a little bit different than Klarna or Zip. The way Klarna or Zip doing is they integrate directly with the merchant. It works for the customer in a way that customer, if I want to purchase Amazon, I just go to the Amazon platform and then I choose Klarna payment method. However, Zilch approach is a slightly different. It still create a virtual card where allow the customer can pay anytime anywhere as a debit, but also give them the option of credit, which is split the transaction into 4 installments, zero interest rates, and anywhere, anytime. So obviously that suddenly the product has a disruptive the buy now pay later industry because first it define well the product market fit. Most of people have the credit card, like 90% in US for sure, and for you in especially in Europe is around like 70%. And it proves that people have demand for it. However, different approach than Klarna or other buy now pay later platform, Zilch approach in a way of e-wallet. So allow the customer can pay anytime, anywhere. So it can show the great market fit. The second way is the way that Zilch shaping their product to have this kind of market fit and retention well is because first they turn at money paid into the merchant saving. So what does it mean? So it means that if you remember about the product key metric, we want to improve the LTV of the customer, right? So the customer come to us must have incentive. And if to give the customer incentive, we need to think about like, okay, if we provide them the payment method like Klarna, but with zero interest rate. But then how we can make money? So the way we do is Zilch will go to every single merchant and we will have the conversation that, hey, we provide the customer unique payment method. We create the whole new market and customer segment for the merchant. And then in return, if the merchant want to access to this customer group, then they can be the person who pay the money for us and cover the fee or any interest rate that happen for the credit product. So again, with that two-way, we just re- we just generate the money from the merchant to the customer saving in a way that interest rate free, or it can be the reward or voucher. The second way that Zilch did from the product point of view is um, Zilch choose the way as act as e-wallet, which is allow customer can pay anytime, anywhere. So with e-wallet functionalities, it means that Zilch will issue the virtual card. And when you issue the virtual card, the immediately thought that you're thinking when you use any bank is the bank, whenever you purchase any online transaction or like a little bit larger, it will ask you for 3DS. And 3DS check is basic one to verify your transaction and also know your customer. However, link with the first story is we go to the merchant and we talk with merchant that, hey, we will advertise you, we will do as embed finance platform, so you can cover for us the cost in a way that the customer, if the customer pay debit card, then of course we don't have any cost, right? There's no zero interest rate. Then the way Zilch did is, what if we can save all the 3DS costs, but let the customer unlock the phone, go to the app, and then unlock every single merchant. So by this way, we not only to increase the relationship between the customer and the merchant itself, but we also reduce the 3DS cost. So within the specifically the product nature functionalities is also already drive the retention for the customer because we also have more incentive from the merchant, of course, and also have more reward, zero interest rate, and so on. So with this way, it's not only increase the higher retention, but also higher conversion rate generally. The next case that I'm gonna walk through is Uber. So Uber turned to profit in July 2023. Actually, is very great news. It was one of the most interesting case study that we see in years. One of the reason is we all know that Uber go through very long way since 29 until like 2018, where there's a lot of like big event happens over, go IPO, and so on. The story of Uber is how they can turn to profits after very, very long time. One of the reason I guess everyone know that the CEO did very good job in terms of shaping the company to the very, very deep direction since 2018. So the first thing the Uber did is it run as lean as possible. First, of course, cut costs for 20% during the COVID. The second one is in focusing on what is the most important. If you look into the Uber platform, they have so many different products, right? And then Uber sold off the non-strategic business, such as just like self-driving units, or cut out the Uber Air, which is have very, very high value million of stake in Zomato. The third one is Uber just focusing on their market where only their market that they are strategic market like first or second player. For example, in early 2023, Uber already abandoned food delivery in Italy. One of the reason is it's just like around fourth player. And also not generate that much retention and number of customer in that market. But it's not the main point of case study in Uber, how Uber generate the profits. Uber actually have the last cut within 2022 and 2023 to turn and generate much profit is create the new product that significantly increase the LTV, the long lifetime value for the customer. So in early 2023, Uber lean on launch Uber One as a Prime-like membership in UK. And the way they do is first, they still look into the product awareness. What they do is customer go to the app and book any trip as normal it is, but they will pop up the in-app notification directly discount on the trip to encourage the action that hey there's a more discount and you can save around 5% for your trip. Would you like to try? So after people are aware that okay this is the new product, Uber jump into the second one is product adoption. They want people to know the benefit, every single benefit of Uber One. Like for example, there's a zero delivery fee on the eligible food or 5% off on any time on the rides or delivery or pickup orders. To push up this adoption, they also give a free trial for the first 1 to 3 months, depending on the market. On the UK, it's only 1 month. So from the product awareness and product adoption, Uber did it very well for Uber One. So it lead to retention is customer start to using Uber more and more because they already purchase subscription. They pay around like £5 per month. Is not that much, but it also save and increase and optimizing every single trip that they possibly can go with Uber. So from this retention, obviously that this product gonna lead to lower margin. There's no doubt because you already like spend a lot of time to discount for the customer and remove all the delivery fee. However, lower margin lead to higher retention, and higher retention lead to longer LTV, and hence it turned to the whole customer base of Uber is like million. It will just multiply multiple times and it lead to earlier profit. So personally, I think that is very good case to see the relationship between product metric and growth metric. Um, so I guess that is a very short kind of example how the relationship between product and growth. Um, I'm gonna leave around 10 to 15 minutes for any questions. Then if you guys have any questions, you can, I guess, put in the chat. But if there's any strategy that both increase margin rate and customer retention, um, it should be depends on your product. So in most of the case, you're gonna need to find the compromise point. It's like it depend on your product if it have the lot of the customer base. So for example, B2C like Facebook or Google, they serve million of people. So with that kind of big customer base, I would recommend that even it's low margin, but if you can increase the LTV, it's much more profitable. But for some of the product, natural product like B2B, you only have around like 100 or 1,000 customer client, I guess. Then the business itself will gain a lot higher margin, but you then in that case, I think it can increase both margin rate and customer retention. So I guess the answer is just simply based on the nature of the product. It's B2B or B2C, if it makes sense. Cool. So thank you guys for joining. I could leave it here and hopefully we'll see you guys next time.